All right, welcome out. Today we're going to be looking at some success principles. We're going to be looking at the four pillars of achievement in life in general, and I'll also give you some specifics on how to achieve in college. I'm going to give you one, which is kind of the foundation of all achievement. You have to basically give yourself a toe hold or toe holds, some place to start from. You need some terms, you need some definitions. You need something to visually perceive before your mind's eye in order to move forward. You don't want to move forward blindly, you know. You want to make sure that there's a dartboard out there and you have darts and you're shooting darts at the board, a specific board, meaning a specific goal and or goals as you move forward. And of course, those goals can be adjusted as time passes. There's no problem with that. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is completely prescient. Look that word up. Being able to see into the future. Very few people can do that. I'm able to see into the future. All I know is what's on the menu for lunch tomorrow. That's about as far into the future as I can perceive with my gifted talents and abilities to read a menu. All right. So anyways, that aside, we're going to look at the four pillars of success. And if you want this list, it's actually 11, but the list, I'm going to give you one. The list has 10. If you want those 10 elements of achievement, just write in the comment section 10 elements of achievement, and I'll send you a list. It's basically a culmination of my 25 plus years of teaching and reading about teaching and pedagogy and understanding students and understanding the human nature and how students are and what students do and don't do. I've seen it all, and I've seen it all for quite some time. So I know what's going on. So let's get into it. Okay, so here it is. This is the four pillars of success by me, my company, Inner Projection. We're going to start off with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You may, if you're in college or have gone to college, or maybe it's even been presented to you in high school. It's just a basic underlying needs that we have to have stacked one upon the other, right? There's like 6 levels, I think. It varies, you know, the charts vary, but basically 6 levels and very foundational, fundamental, all the way up to the more abstract, I guess you could say, right? And that's Maslow. Then the next you have the law of success and 16 lessons. That is an achievement achievement explanations by Napoleon Hill, and he compiled this list some 90, maybe 100 years ago by now. It's out in the public domain, so if you want a copy of it, you can just type in the law of success and 16 lessons PDF and get yourself all 600 pages or some. I have both books. It's very voluminous. There's another nice word for you. That's the thing. If you want to impress people, and show them that you went to college, get some fancy words. They go, oh, college grad. Very interesting, very exciting. But anyways, the law of success and 16 lessons. What Napoleon Hill said to himself at one point was, well, you know what? There's a lot of high achievers out there. I bet you they have certain things in common that they do, right? And that's what he did. He started looking into high achievers of the time. I think like Woodrow Wilson, this is way back, early 1900s. And when was Woodrow Wilson president? 1910, 1913, around there. Henry Ford, he spoke to, and people in science and business and academia and politics and so forth, maybe about 40 or 50 very well-known, well-revered people. And if you want to know more about the law of success in 16 lessons, I actually, in the video archives here on the channel, I have a detailed look at most, if not all of the lessons, most of the lessons, the important ones. Some are a little arcane or irrelevant or moot. There's another word to look up, moot. That point was moot. Not really applicable to today, or for most people even to today. Thick-Based Blackheart is another text. This is more modern. The author died recently. She was from Taiwan. It's a it's an achievement book in the field of business, how to battle the, how to win the battles of life and business, right? In life and business. And it's got some great stuff in it. I've been using it in my classes and in my coaching for, geez, at least 10, maybe 15 years. And again, there's about 16 chapters there. I'm not going to go over all this stuff in detail. If you do want more details on thick-faced black art, again, go to my video archives. And then finally, As a Man Thinketh, that's also in the video archives. It's a little shorter. It's about 20 pages, I think 6 chapters roughly, and how thought affects fill in the blank. How thought affects character, how thought affects your situation, how thought affects serenity, how thought affects health, and so forth, right? So these are kind of like the pillars of success. These are the toeholds that you want to have available. You want to be able to, first of all, am I well situated enough in order to move forward to be successful? Well, if Maslow's hierarchy of needs are missing a couple of levels, 2 or more levels would be dangerous. And you'll see once we get to those levels. You know, maybe I need to make some adjustments. The law of success will give you some specific ideas, things to think about as you're moving forward and attempting to achieve, not only in your field of endeavor, your career, but also in your personal life. These concepts are very systemic and across the board. You can use them in almost any situation. You can use them at home. You can use them in the community. You can use them at work. You can use them in general society and so forth, right? Same with thick-faced black art. Probably a little less so with thick-faced black art, but still they're applicable. And then As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, if I had left that out, James Allen. And again, these are all done in detail, done up in considerable detail by me in the video library, and you can go there and check that out. James Allen wrote about how man basically comes from thought. It all derives from thought. First, it was a thought. You were a thought before you became real. This country was a thought before it became real. The theory of relativity was a thought before it became real, and so forth and so on and down the line, right? So there we go. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Numero uno, the psychological needs. So this is the bottom. You can kind of, it's kind of an inverse pyramid. The pyramid is at actually self-actualization down at the bottom there. That is the top of the pyramid. So we're starting with the bottom, the very foundational, fundamental needs that one wants, right? Psychological needs. Breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. So before you do anything else, you don't want to be running around without a place to live or without food. You probably wouldn't be able to run around. You wouldn't have the energy or you wouldn't have the stamina. Attempting to, protect yourself or achieve or do something, anything beyond the basic fundamentals. All right. So those are the big fundamentals. Kind of like wasn't there a basketball player played for the Spurs? Tim Duncan. They called him the big fundamental because he was fundamentally sound in his approach to basketball. Right. 2, safety and security. So once you have those things in place, the next thing you want to think about is your health. Now that I have a roof over my head, I have some food, I better start thinking about eating well, right? Maybe getting a job to keep that roof over my head, or maybe to put a better roof over my head, right? Property is part of that, family, social ability, right? So you're starting to build slowly from the ground up. 3rd level, after you got those first 2 in place, love and belonging, friendship, family, intimacy. You need some connection, you need some bonding, you need a spouse, possibly, you need a family, you need children, an extended family. How far do you want to take it? A sense of belonging, don't we all aspire? I think that's why most people do most of what they do. get on TikTok or get on TikTok. Right? To get on TikTok, get on Instagram, and dance around or try to do something funny or entertaining or brilliant. Very rarely brilliant. I don't see a brilliant out there, to be honest. To engage, sometimes, a lot of time, I don't want to say sometimes, but often that engagement is pretty negative, right? You've been on the interwebs. So that sense of belonging is very foundational, fundamental, and it's very innate in all of us. It's natural. We're born with it. We bring it to this existence with us, right? Next level, self-esteem. So you've built up those first three levels. You're moving to the fourth level now. Now, what do you want to work on? Well, the next thing to do, once you get those first three in place, let's get some self-esteem. I've got food, I got a place to live, I'm feeding myself, I've got some relationships going on, I feel pretty good, but no, there's something missing. So maybe I have to go get myself some self-help books. Maybe I have to get some coaching. Maybe I have to take some classes at college. Maybe I have to read some books, watch some DVDs, go to see some lectures, get on the interwebs and see what's out there to get my self-esteem up to snuff, right? Because you do need confidence in doing almost anything. I don't care if you're answering phones and filing papers. At the very bottom of the corporate ladder, I guess you could say, right? You still need confidence, even to do minor tasks, right? And also the same thing, if you're a parent, you need confidence. If you're a worker, you need confidence. And the more responsibility you take on, the more money you make, the higher the salary, the better your confidence better be structured, right? It better be solidified considerably if you're moving into a position of high achievement, right? Respect of others, need to be a unique individual, that basic need to be unique, right? That's another basic. And some people think, standing out from the crowd, being unique, it's all about ego, it's all about you, right? That's not necessarily what that is talking about. We all need to basically flex who we are. And if we flex who we are at the core, at the most innate essence of our being, we're born with certain needs, certain abilities, certain gifts, certain desires, right? I have a need to teach, to learn, to read and educate not only myself, but to, send that education out to others and share that education, right? There may be others who would like to perform. They like to be in front of a crowd. They like to entertain people. They like to make people feel good, to make them laugh, to make them think, to make them cry, right? So what is it that's unique about you that you need to do, right? That's more what we're talking about rather than just some egomaniacal flexing of the look at me muscle. Look at me, look at me, look at me, right? Finally, self-actualization. This is where you can take it all up a notch to the tippity top, as AOC would say. Morality, creativity, spontaneity, acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, inner potential. So this is where you're dipping into the self, into the deeper self, and you probably want to take like a Briggs-Myers typology test. You want to know your personality type. Which of the 16 personality types are you? Are you mostly oriented around, if you're talking basic skills, oriented around verbal skills? Are you oriented around physical skills, physical interactions? Are you an athlete? Are you a teacher? Are you a philosopher? Are you a poet? Where do you come from? Where do you actualize? Also taking into consideration the practical aspect of, hey, I got to make money at this. This may be all fine and dandy, but as far as me making money, doing what I think I need to do in order to find meaning in my life and the inner potential, it's not going to help me earn my way. So maybe I'll have to do something slightly off from what is my basic inner core being, and maybe do something related but not directly related to earn a living, while at the same time maybe in the off hours I could do something more specifically related to my my inner potential. And that's potential, not it's POR, the typo there. I got to get in there and fix that. All right. So then we have the law of success in 16 lessons. This is Napoleon Hill. This, as I said before, written maybe 90, probably closer to 100 years ago. And anyone who's someone, and probably even a no one or a nobody, in the field of achievement knows about Napoleon Hill. And you probably heard the secret manifesting your destiny, manifesting your success. All I have to do, if I want a car or a home or a specific job or spouse, I just have to manifest it, make it real. I have to get what do they call it? An achievement board, a success board. Again, it's visualizing. Nothing wrong with visualizing. You can take some of this stuff a little too far, too far to the abstract and the unreal. There definitely is something to be said for visualizing and a constant focus on your particular goals. That's perfectly fine. But thinking that you're going to manifest your perfect spouse or home or job or career out of thin air just by sitting there and imagining, thinking, visualize, and it's just going to happen. No, you've got to do something, right? There's always action. Some high achievers talk about massive action, and there is that probably for most people, that period of time in their life, and I had it, when you do have to take massive action. When I was taking massive action, I was working full time and going to college full time. And then when I was done with that, I was teaching pretty much full time as an adjunct, but at the same time, working all the rest of my spare time, building my business and coaching and writing books, right? So I was probably in the state of massive action for 20 years, at least 20 years, right? In order to get what I got done and to get out of that time what I needed to get out of it, right? So anyways, there's the 16 of them. Again, if you want this in more detail, you can go into the video archives here on the channel and look them up and watch the videos. So the first one is the law of the mastermind. Mastermind is nothing more than people of a like mind getting together. You want to achieve something, so find some 2, 3, 4, 5 minds who can help you. They're not necessarily going to be working with you on the specifics of achieving your goal, but they might be on an outlier, somebody who's very successful in a particular niche or category that you're interested in getting more information or inspiration from, right? That's the mastermind, a mastermind group, masterminds. It's actually of one mind, even though there's several people involved in the mastermind. Definite chief aim, that's just a goal. That's all that is, right? Self-confidence. And what's interesting about most of these, I'd probably say half, if not more, of these elements in the list, is that most of these will come to light or occur or happen because you're doing something that you really, really want to do. You have a definite chief aim, a goal, a specific goal that's really tied into who you are, right? I love to read. I love to write. I love to learn. I love to get people to think. I love to get people to laugh. I used to do stand-up comedy, and that kind of feeds into me teaching as a professor and also working as a coach, right? Humor is very important when you're trying to get points across, because if you take yourself and other people too seriously, you can get into some serious problems. You also got to make people feel kind of creepy, that you're kind of creepy, and that guy's kind of creepy. He needs to lighten up, get a sense of humor. But anyways, self-confidence. If you are doing what you love to do and you're on a path that aligns with your basic innate inner needs and desires and abilities and gifts and talents, right? Then it's all going to work together. It's all going to work hand in hand, right? Habit of saving. I wouldn't say saving these days. with interest rates so low and cost of living high and prices high, I would say probably more you need a habit of investing, right? Turn that loss around. Okay. Initiative and leadership. Everybody who is a high achiever doesn't have to wait uh, to be told what to do. You should figure it out yourself through your own blood, sweat, and tears, as they say. Um, you know, figure it out. And I found that in my life when I'm dealing with students or clients or whomever, the people who are the highest achievers are usually the ones that you know are finding on their own, finding more than most other people would find. I worked with one client. He was he's going to medical school. He wanted to get into Harvard and he wanted to do research. I met him online and he lived in Saudi Arabia. I found a lot of students from the Middle East very motivated. It's in their culture, right? You probably want to make that a part of your culture. There were some of my most hardworking, interesting, motivated, intriguing students, right? And I don't know the origins of the culture, the specifics of why, but that's how they were, right? Or are, probably still are. I'm not teaching anymore. Initiative and leadership, right? Then you've got imagination. What did Einstein say? Without imagination, there is nothing. Knowledge would not exist. As I said before, before you came into being, someone had to imagine you or imagine being with a loved one to make children or imagining a life, right? Outside of that of the self, imagining a life living with somebody else, with a spouse and having children and working in a career, imagining a career, right? This house we live in had to be imagined in the mind before it became real. This country we live in had to be imagined in the mind before it became real. I'm watching Hell on Wheels. It's a miniseries that came out some years ago, but it's about this Southern. It's after the Civil War, and this Southern. I think he's a sergeant or a lieutenant in the war, and he's lost his wife. She was hung by Northern soldiers, and he's looking for revenge. And he is working for an individual, kind of not all on the up and up, who is building a railroad out west, right? Trying to connect the Western Railroad with the Eastern Railroad, right? To have that first, have that ability to come across country in a matter of days instead of weeks, right? To increase movement for people, individuals moving, cargo moving, and so forth. And they had to, just to see what nastiness they had to experience, the Indians attacking frequently, little spats between groups. The whites didn't like the Indians or the blacks, and you had racial issues, and you had warring issues, and just all kinds of little crazy spats going on, trying to build a railroad amongst all that. Um, all those challenges, right? So it had to be imagined at some point. And to keep that dream, that imagined dream going through all that turmoil was just unfathomable, really, to be honest. Enthusiasm, self-control, doing more than you're paid for. And again, that's got to do with I'm not just going to sit here and float. I'm going to really work hard and see what it is that I'm doing, what I want to do, where do I want to go? What does this mean? What does this entail? In addition to what I'm doing now, what can I do, to help myself and help others and so forth, right? Pleasing personality, that doesn't mean you're always, smiling and happy. You don't have to be like that. That's a fake personality. That's not pleasing. But a pleasing personality who someone's honest and sincere and trustworthy, the kind of the basic Girl Scout, Boy Scout um, philosophies or rules, morals, ethicals, accurate thinking, that's critical thinking, being able to think well, think accurately, think for yourself, think independently, and not to be swayed by the group or the crowd or the thoughts or the thinking of the moment. Concentration, how to get stuff done and be focused. Cooperation, how to work with others well. Profiting by failure. Tolerance, you've got to tolerate difference for sure. And you've got to tolerate situations, difficult situations. You've got to tolerate failure. You've got to tolerate, right? Because being human, things are bound to go wrong. Then, of course, there's the golden rule, doing for others what you would like done for you, and vice versa, right? So that is a plethora, a whole bunch of good concepts to work, live, and achieve by. Okay. And then we have Thick-Faced Blackheart. This is by Qingming Chu. Again, she grew up in Taiwan, China, and she came over to the United States at a relatively young age. And she brought a couple of books, The Art, Han Tzu, The Art of War. I don't know if you've heard that one before, but, and also Lee's Thick Black Theory, right? And she basically took this theory that was steeped in a lot of Eastern or Chinese tradition and symbols and terminology and put it into more Western symbols and terminology and concepts, right? So the book is laid out like an essay. You've got your title, you've got the noun, and you've got the adjective. What is it? Thick-Faced Blackheart. What does it do? It's the warrior philosophy for conquering challenges in career and life, right? And I think it says business on the cover, but I put career because it does apply to, it can apply or be used for almost any career. The essence of Thick-Faced Blackheart, so that's kind of getting the terminology down, getting the definition down. Thick face is basically you're trying to achieve something, and there will always be people who will come at you and try to negate what you're doing. So you have to keep a thick face. You have to keep save face, as they say, right? And keep moving forward. Don't let what other people are saying or thinking or doing stopping you from moving forward, right? You're basically, you get a shield. And it's a shield sword pair that is also used in order to represent Thick-Faced Blackheart. Thick face is the shield and the sword is Blackheart, where your heart is kind of black, not totally immoral and evil and whatnot, but your heart is black in the sense that you're just going to move forward and get what needs to be done, come what may, right? And again, you're not thinking immorally or unethically, but you're still going to move forward regardless of what people are saying, right? Then, of course, preparation for Thick-Faced Blackheart. You have to be 11 principles for getting free. There's certain things that are in the way that you may have learned that will not disallow you from using Thick-Faced Blackheart to achieve, right? Dharma 3 and 4, the wish-fulfilling tree, Dharma and destiny. Dharma is nothing more than finding that what you need to do in the moment for you, for yourself, right? It might be what I need to do at this very second, what I need to do this very hour, day, week, month, year, in order to move forward and achieve what I need to achieve. And again, I'm just giving you a very summary look, Sumerian look, summary look at this. I see my light is not shining as it should. Summary look. I look like I'm in the dark there, right? How's that better? Peachy. Yeah, Dharma is just, it's kind of, going to the inner you. What do you need to do? You, not anybody else. just you, poop, poopy do, right? What do you need to do at this moment, at this time, this minute, this hour, this week, this month, this whatever, to get things done, to accomplish things? Winning through negative thinking, the basic concept there is that you don't have to be thinking positively all the time. You don't have to think any particular way in order to be an achiever. There have been as many different types of, let me try it again. There have been as many ways to achieve as there are people to achieve those ways, right? There's quite a differentiation between one person and the next and how they achieved what they needed to achieve, the specifics, the intangibles. No, it's kind of like snowflakes. No two achievers are alike in that sense, I guess you could say. Endurance really comes into play, chapter 6. We always need to endure. You need to endure in relationships, in marriages, in your career, in your relationship with your boss, your underlings and your overlings. Maybe you need to endure, 4 years of education, but it's actually, what is it, 8, 12, 16, maybe more, if you're really going into a really specialized field, right? Money, the mystery of money, and how does money work? People don't think too much about money outside of I need it, maybe a lot of it to buy stuff, right? But there is a certain psychology behind money, what it means, right? What does it really mean? What does money mean to you? What is the essence of money? I heard something one time where an individual was talking about purchasing something. He says, if I have $20 and I go out and pay $20 for something, that something to me is not worth $20. That something to me is worth more than $20 because I was willing to give up the $20. If I see something that's not worth $20, I'm not going to give it to you. And sometimes do you ever hear people say, take my money, take all my money, right? Sometimes that thing that they want is so valuable to them, they'll give you 10 20s, 20 20s. Take all my 20s. That's priceless. That's gold, right? So how does money work? And there's actually books out there and people who are online and lecture and talk about money and the concept of money and how money can really be a deterrent to some people. There was a case where an individual was making 6 figures, but he was always broke. I come to find out his mom told him when he was much younger, she said, son, if you just want to make money, if your life is all about and only about money, then you're a pig. If you're just going after money, you're a pig. You're disgusting. That's disgusting. And he kind of had that in his subconscious. So anytime he would get a good amount of money around, like collected, or piled up, he would spend it just, without thought. Anyways, deception without deceit. I don't use that one, but if you're interested, you can read into that. 16 noble attributes of work. Again, there's another concept like money. People don't think too much about work. What does work really mean? Some people are just very practical or very silly about it. I don't care what job I do. I just want to make a lot of money. I need stuff. I need a house. I need a car. I need vacations, whatever, whatever they're thinking. But work has 16 noble attributes. That's quite a few attributes. Never mind noble attributes, right? So, and I would suggest you read that chapter. It's very important. I send my students and my clients to read that one specifically. There's some chapters in here that are more important than others, I think. But that some of that is just my opinion. You might find like 8 I really skip over, but some clients and students have found that important. To each his own, to each your own. So what does work really mean? What is it? Is it a way in which one can learn about oneself, express oneself, self-actualize? Is one self-actualizing through work, finding a deeper meaning to life and a more fulfilling and deeper sense of being and enjoyment, that type of thing? Advantage of playing the fool, there's another chapter I skip over. Thriving among the cunning and ruthless, that's just like Killer Instinct 12. Those are just about getting things done, accomplishing goals. The 11 is about, dealing with difficult people and trying to achieve. And 12 is basically trying to get the job done, no matter what. And again, it's metaphorical. It's not direct. It's not a direct, you're not out there killing people. You're doing whatever you need to do in order to get the job done, short of murdering people or being unethical or immoral, right? Leadership, that's an interesting chapter. It's just a list of leadership principles from the military, of all things. I didn't really find that chapter that well done. She seemed to just kind of throw those concepts out there, those pre-existing concepts, and didn't really get into talking about leadership from her personal perspective. It was just, here's a bunch of military concepts, precepts on leadership, just throw them into a list. Right? Then the last three are about applying thick-face Blackheart. First couple chapters, you learn about what is thick-face Blackheart and unlearn some things in order to learn what it is. And then the next 10 chapters is developing, coming to understand thick-face Blackheart more specifically through certain elements, such as Dharma, negative thinking, endurance, and so forth. And then finally, the last three chapters is, okay, I think I got this thick-face Blackheart. How do I apply it? How do I work it, right? So that's that. And then finally, As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. This thing is rife with information. It's densely packed. It's only about 20 pages. Some of these chapters are like a page or half a page. But especially in the first couple chapters. And again, if you want more on this, more specifics on this, just go to my video library, and there's videos in there of me talking about these concepts in more detail. Thought and character, right? How does thought affect character? And you've probably heard the concept of, first there's thoughts, and then there's action. Thoughts turn to actions, and actions turn to deeds, and then action and deeds turn to habit, and then habits turn to character, something along that line, right? Those lines there. That's what one is talking about. How does thought affect your circumstances? I remember one time being stuck in LA traffic, and I think, listening to some CDs as I was driving home from teaching some class, and I think it took me like an hour and a half to drive home from that particular college. And as I was wont to do, I was listening to some CDs and learning some concepts about, I don't know, maybe it was investments, or maybe it was about pedagogy, or maybe it was about, I don't know what. So, historical understandings of significance in the United States and so forth. Right? So I was doing that, and then I remember there was somebody outside just yelling and screaming, "What the hell? This traffic, blah, blankety, blank, blank. I hate LA, which one is more productive? The effect of thought. So you want to just rail at the circumstances, or do you want to accept the fact that you're stuck in traffic? The guy was probably stuck in traffic every day like I was, or most days. And maybe I can do something productive. So your effective thought on circumstance. And it also talks about that one does not just become, excuse me. Excuse me. One does not just become evil or good overnight. You're not just born evil or born good. You develop it through thought processes and choices, right? So that person who becomes evil and malicious, a murderer, a serial killer, a mob boss, or whatever, and some of it is circumstantial, right? Circumstances. But it really comes down to choices, right? I choose every day basically not to get involved in a lot of negative thinking, not a lot of sex, don't want the sex and the drugs and the violence in my head. So I avoid watching that stuff on television if I do watch television, or even reading, right? I try to avoid that, keep it out of my head as much as possible. Not from a prude's perspective, but it's like, do you want to keep your kitchen clean or dirty, right? How do you want to keep your house? You have a choice, right? Effective thought on health and body, and then the last few, thought and purpose, thought and achievement, thought and visions and ideals, and then serenity. So, controlling your thoughts, controlling your actions, controlling your words, controlling your deeds, it really comes into play. And that's one of the elements on the list of Napoleon Hill's Law of Success in 16 Lessons, right? Self-control, right? And I also think of that's in the song, right? Freedom fair, thoroughfare, over the thoroughfare and the freedom fair, steeped in self-control, the pilgrims come across the plains, right? That's a part of the, I guess you could say, founding philosophy or concepts of the United States. All right, so that's it. If you want those 10 elements of achievement, so if you want that list, just type in the comment section the 10 elements of college high achievers, and I'll send it out to you. So that's it for now. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.